Hello everyone. Now we've covered releases, cycles, creation in Quality Center, also covered requirements and associating these requirements to releases and cycles, and thereafter creating test cases and selecting the requirements associated with those test cases. Now comes the most important part here, which is running these test cases in the test lab, without which you won't have any defects in Quality Center and you won't be able to measure software quality, right? So in the test lab module of Quality Center, you need to create test sets, execute the test sets, and you can do analyze them. So basically the test lab module of Quality Center is used to run the test cases. You create a test set folder, add tests based on the release goals or the group of requirements which are being developed as part of this release, and one test set can contain both manual and automated tests both, right? And we can schedule a date and time for executing this specific test set, right? The process flow for this is create test sets, the schedules the runs, run the test manually or the test runs automatically, and analyze the test results. Based on the analysis of the test results, you log defects if your expected outcome and the actual outcome is different or not correct. So for creating the test set, you select the test lab module in Quality Center to create a folder, right? And then create a test set, and once you give a description and a name for the test set, you can import tests into this test set based on your criteria for this release, and your test set for execution for this release is created, right? So this is how it looks. So you have a release, and you can import test cases for that release into this test set, say which is mentioned here, right? And you can see a list of all the test sets which you have selected for this specific release in the screen of Quality Center here, right? The tests can be run both in manual and automatic as well, but as part of this session we'll be covering only the manual part. So for executing the test case, you will select the manual test and click on run, right? So and then after you select the test case and say run, you may want to say run name. You can give and say run 1 for this, or run so and so for this defect reproduction, or whatever. You can give a run name for this, and also select the tester, right? Generally by default Quality Center picks up the user who is logged in. You can choose a separate username if you have the rights, and then you can see all the steps which you created in the previous session, which is in the test plan section. All the steps which you created there are displayed for you, okay? And you can see the actual description and the expected. You have to enter the actual outcome and then mark the status as passed or failed. If all the individual steps in this test case pass, only then your entire test case passes. Otherwise, if any one of these steps failed, your entire test case becomes status failed, and then you end the run. After the execution, you can see the test case here in the pass status and the other test case in the no run status, right? I'll take you through Quality Center for this process, and then we'll take it from there. This is the main dashboard of Quality Center, right? So click on Test Lab. When you click on Test Lab, then you can see root there and unattached. So you can go and create a new folder based on your release here, and when you right click go there, you see a menu here which shows you new folder. So you can go and enter a new folder based on what release it is, and in this right now there's nothing, so you go and create a new test set and give a specific name for this test set, right? You can give the name based on your release, or you can give based on the cycle, right? You can say cycle so and so on, execution 1, and also enter open and close date and the target cycle, the test set folder, right? So now you can see on the right hand side the details of what you've entered right now has come in. You have an execution grid, execution flow, automation, attachments, linked effects, and history as part of all the tabs in the right hand side. All these tabs here. So from here you actually need to select tests, right, to run this test set. Now if you see the execution grid, it's empty. So now if you in this cycle we so far haven't selected any test cases for execution, thereby your execution grid is currently empty. And in this screen you can see that select tests and run is disabled. Now you come to execution grid, click on select tests. So you can see that it's taking you back to the test plan tree on the right hand side, and in the test plan tree, whatever test cases you have created under the folders which we had talked about, all those test cases are visible over here, and you can select these tests and move it into the test set. So basically you are moving the test cases created by you in the test plan phase for execution in this cycle of this release. So that's exactly what you're doing right now here. So if you now move it to the left panel, you can see that it will get moved to the execution grid for your test set. So your cycle 1 execution test set shows you 2 test cases which you have selected, and both these test cases currently will be in the no run status. So now you can see I've expanded the view. So now you can see that the status of these test cases is in no run, right? So basically you haven't run these test cases for this cycle so far. So you can see the name of the test cases and the type of test cases, status, and also the person responsible here. You can change the person responsible over here, right, for your assignment, and the execution date gets picked up automatically. Now we want to run a specific test case here, okay, and you want to do a manual test case run. So you will say run with manual runner, correct? So the minute you do run with manual runner, a new window gets open wherein it tells you run so and so, run so and so with the status not completed and the instance application Now you can see the 2 steps that you had mentioned in our test case earlier when you click on run manual runner. So with these steps you have given description and also expected in your test plan. So those same steps are visible here, right? And you actually enter actual outcome in this here, and therefore you will be able to update the status as either passed or failed based on what is the status of your test case. Right, so you can make it as passed. So you have updated the test step base status as passed, and you click on end run. The minute you do an end run, then you will be able to end your test case and update the status of this test case as passed in your test lab. So if all your steps in this test case are passed, your status of the test case becomes passed. The minute any one of these test steps becomes failed, the status of the test case will become failed in the test lab. Now you can see that the status of this test case is showing as passed and it's showing a specific date of execution, right? And you will be able to so you'll be able to see the status of the test case here in the test lab, and since the requirement is mapped to this test case, in the you'll be able to see the requirements as well for this, and that will give you requirement traceability. So that's how you execute a test case and update the status as either passed or failed in Quality Center.